Paramount have just announced that Star Trek Academy has been greenlit, and this really does go against a lot of the rumours we've been hearing for a few months. So, what happened? Welcome to Sidetrack, your sci-fi TV and movie channel. So, as I've told you in previous videos, there have been lots and lots of anti-Kurtzman whispers. And the thing that I was hearing was that we wouldn't get a Star Trek announcement for probably 6 months. That would have been around Star Trek Day, sort of September. But we've had a couple of quite big announcements this week. The biggest, though, being that Starfleet Academy has been greenlit. We are going to get Star Trek 90210, whether we want it or not. And this is going to be, by the looks, a follow-on from Star Trek Discovery, a show that also a lot of people don't really want. So, what is actually going on? What are Paramount planning? And how has this happened? Well, I'm hearing, again, a couple of rumours, and we've got to put all of this very firmly in the rumour category. We'll talk about it because I've been told it, but even my source says he's not really sure, and this has surprised them. Now, I obviously speak to lots and lots of different people. One source in particular, it has an agenda against Alex Kurtzman. I've known that for a long time. It's very much a woke sort of ideology sort of thing he's coming from, I believe. And even though they come up with some very interesting information, it does come from a perspective of wanting Alex Kurtzman out of Star Trek. Now, that source has been proved wrong, basically, by everything that's been happened in the last week or so. But other sources, other more reliable sources that actually do work in and around areas that I can trust, have agreed in lots of respects that Paramount have had big problems and big concerns with Secret Hideout. And they have been hesitant to greenlight some of these projects. Now, as I told you last week, I was told that Secret Hideout and Paramount were still having conversations, and that even though Section 31 and Starfleet Academy were possible still, they were unlikely. Now, the reason why I was told that was because basically Section 31 was very much reliant on Michelle Yeoh, and that it seemed very unlikely that that was going to happen, and that other pitches, including Starfleet Academy, were really reliant on that. Now, this Starfleet Academy idea has been being bounced around for 30 years on and off and has been talked about by Kurtzman since 2017, so like 5 years really, very early on at the start of Star Trek. It's been a popular idea within certain sections for a very long time. Now, if you actually talk to the podcast guys, they will say, and they did a video months ago saying actually that Starfleet Academy was 100% going to happen. As soon as Discovery ended, we'd get Starfleet Academy. Now, they've got brilliant sources in and around Star Trek, but they've also got enough common sense to know when certain people say things, they probably happen. But there are a lot of voices out there, as I say, with an agenda against Kurtzman. Now, these people are not necessarily lying when they share this information, but they get bits of information from Paramount or other areas, and they put that perspective on it. And that's something that I know for me, listening to rumours that come in and around, I have to be careful of. But in this case, it does seem almost for certainly, because again, another source that I do trust has said that actually, yes, it is true that Paramount were having concerns. It is true that Picard Series 3 and the success of that has helped to alleviate some of those concerns. Also, the success of Strange New Worlds. It's also true that the source that I speak to that does work for quite a large agency in Hollywood says that a lot of people in and around the offices yesterday were very surprised when this dropped. They were not expecting it because they were expecting something around September. So what changed? The rumor always was that we would not get Starfleet Academy unless we got Section 31. And we wouldn't get Section 31 unless Kurtzman somehow managed to get Michelle Yeoh on board. So the question they're asking is Michelle Yeoh on board? Have they, at very least, got Michelle Yeoh to do some sort of limited series, and that the success of getting Oscar-winning Michelle Yeoh to do a Star Trek series, however brief, has given them enough leverage to get Paramount to agree to Starfleet Academy. Now, I actually think we're going to know whether this idea, and I'm going to say this idea, this is based on this person's opinion, is a person that's worked in this industry for a very long time, does hear things, but again, his opinion. We're going to know about this quite soon because he says he's looking at April the 5th. One of the things he also said was, why have they announced this today? Why have they announced this when actually we've still got 4 episodes of Star Trek Picard left? We've still got this big event on April the 5th and Frontier Day. We've still then actually got the Federation Day. Why is it announced it today? Why not announce it just before the, say, maybe series finale of Picard and create a really big buzz? Well, says maybe it's because they're holding off on the big announcement. That's the Michelle Yeoh project, whatever that's going to look like. Now, that makes sense to me. So let's just think about how this has worked. Alex Kurtzman, we've kept saying and kept pitching this Section 31 idea with Michelle Yeoh. Paramount executives, or at least parts of Paramount, didn't believe him and thought that he was making big promises, but didn't actually expect him to be able to fulfill them. And that when he then did, it kind of took the legs from under them, took the wind out of their sails. And all of a sudden, the voices that support Alex Kurtzman got the upper hand, and he got what he was asking for. Now, I can imagine that actually lots of the other rumours about the smaller budget, I keep being told that almost everything Paramount are going to be doing is going to be based on a 20% less budget than what we looked at previously. So the budget for Discovery, off the top of my head, was about 8 million. We could look at more like maybe 6 for whatever they do moving forwards. That is just the reality of streaming services have spent too much money in the last 10 years, and they need to spend less. But they can still produce something pretty amazing for that money. They just have to make sure that every dollar ends up on the screen. But why has Kurtzman gone for this Star Trek 90210 Starfleet Academy idea? Well, again, the rumor is that Discovery has quite a young demographic. There's a young audience that found this show, and Paramount don't want to lose that young audience. But is the wider Star Trek audience excited by this? Well, I can tell you my personal opinion. I don't like this idea. I don't like Discovery. I have nothing against Kurtzman. I don't have an agenda in this respect at all. I just never liked the show. I didn't like the Klingons from the start. It kind of put me off. I found the characters a little boring. Even though I thought it was beautifully made, and actually some of the stories were fascinating, I just didn't care about the characters. So I stopped watching it. I barely watched any of season 3, and I don't think I watched any of season 4. I love Strange New Worlds. I love Star Trek Picard season 3. But this idea of Starfleet Academy, it turns me off. Now, it looks like from the announcement that it is going to be based following Star Trek Discovery, because there's a few mentions about that Starfleet Academy hadn't existed for 100 years, etc. So that seems to put us firmly in the post-Burn, post-Discovery era. It also mentions that there are applications being requested for anybody that wants to join Starfleet Academy 16 and above. So we're going to see a young cast, maybe with some of the cast from Discovery being pulled through as maybe teachers. But on the whole, this is going to be based around a young cast. A lot of people keep saying, I don't really want to see a teenage angst TV show based around Star Trek. But Buffy the Vampire Slayer was a teenage angst show, and I personally loved it. So there is a possibility that this could still be a good show. At the end of the day, I always think about things like there's the Lucifer TV show. Break that down. Satan comes to Earth and fights crime. It's the stupidest storyline you could possibly think of, but I loved it. It was great. It worked. Now I say Star Trek 90210, Starfleet Academy following a bunch of kids. That sounds stupid and I don't want to watch it. But if done right, it could be brilliant. Alex Kurtzman is actually co-show running this with Oga Landau. Now again, this is very much in the rumour category, but one person I spoke to that possibly does have an agenda, but his opinion is still valid, is that this has happened because of the doubts about Alex Kurtzman. That Paramount have said, yes, we'll go with this, and yes, you can showrun, but we want to bring somebody else in. We want there to be a team around this. We do not want the mistakes of early discovery. Now, we don't know if this decision to bring in Landau came from Secret Hideout as part of that compromise, that they went back to Paramount and said, well, what if we do it this way? Would that make you happier? Or this is a directive from Paramount? We don't know. But either way, it seems that the fact that the way they have put together this production team is very much in line with what we believe about Paramount's opinion about Kurtzman's creative control over the show. But it also may be that actually Kurtzman just needs help because he is the top guy at Secret Hideout, and Secret Hideout are producing a lot of TV right now. Now, there is also another rumor going around, and actually this Starfleet Academy was always going to happen because Kurtzman has a contract extension with Paramount, and that contract extension says that there has to be 5 TV shows. Well, there was a contract with Paramount, and it did sort of talk about 5 Star Trek shows, but that was extended. And when it was extended, the new extension doesn't mention Star Trek. Secret Hideout do other projects for Paramount, and it doesn't specifically talk about Star Trek. Now, apparently, that means that Paramount were not under any obligation to actually announce this show. But there's been a little bit of a perfect storm of success for Kurtzman, and that might have just given him the leverage he needed to get what he wanted. Finally, I just want to share this with you, though, because as soon as I heard this news last night, before I put my head on the pillow and went to sleep, I asked you guys, is this a show that you think is a good idea? So I put a poll on the channel. Is the announcement of Alex Kurtzman-led Star Trek and a follow-on from Discovery a massive backward step for Star Trek? And I put the answers, yes, huge mistake, no, more Trek is awesome. 77% of you guys believe that this is a huge mistake, and only 23% have said more Star Trek is awesome, don't care. That's out of 504 votes at the point of filming. Now, this is a sci-fi channel. You guys are sci-fi fans, and nearly 80% of you do not want Star Trek Academy. All I would ask that 80% is keep your mind open. It really does depend on how the show is pulled off. Let's not worry about early discovery. Let's not worry about seasons 1 or 2 of Picard. Let's think about the great Star Trek that we've had in the last couple of years. Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, Prodigy, and Picard Season 3. These people have been able to do some of the best Star Trek we've seen in a very, very long time. I'm excited about Fridays again when I get to see Picard Season 3 episode. Maybe they can make us excited about Starfleet Academy as well. And if the big announcement is a Section 31 Michelle Yeoh series, and even if that is maybe just a few episodes, like a very limited series, that would be something I would be genuinely excited to see. So let's see what happens in the next few days. But one thing you can be assured of is that I will be here to talk about the rumours and the announcements, and we will continue our conversation. If you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It really helps us out, and you'll never miss any of our new videos. Also, you can go to patreon.com/sidetrack, where I get most of my videos on there first for all of the patrons. As always, please stay safe. I'm going to go watch Picard Season 3. I'll see you next time.